Good afternoon, and welcome to our Problem Gambling 101 webinar. In honor of Problem Gambling Awareness Month, High Point Treatment Center has crafted this webinar to highlight how we can promote problem gambling services within prevention, intervention, and treatment spaces. We appreciate all of you taking the time out of your busy days to join us for this training. Today, you will hear from three presenters, including myself, Julia Constantino, as well as fellow prevention coordinators Kiosha Pina and Kara Ferguson. As an organization, it is our hope to foster a culture of learning and understanding while presenting. Please utilize the chat and Q&A features to share any questions you have for the presenters or reach out to us directly. Our contact information will be included at the end. If you wish to continue today's conversation following the presentation, please reach out via email at preventionservices@gmail.com. Today's agenda offers a comprehensive view of problem gambling from a public health perspective, examining its impact on individuals and communities. We'll define problem gambling, explore behaviors along the gambling continuum, and identify signs, symptoms, and risk factors. We'll then review state regulations, the timeline of legalization, the growth of online gambling, and sports betting. Additionally, we'll analyze the normalization of gambling through media, advertising, and gaming connections like loot boxes. Finally, we'll explore the continuum of care for those affected, addressing overlaps with mental health and substance use disorders, and sharing valuable resources and support. A Q&A session will follow. Understanding problem gambling through a public health lens. Before we get started, it is critical for all of us to understand that problem gambling isn't just a personal issue. It's a public health concern with far-reaching effects on individuals, families, communities, and systems. This disorder affects more than just the person placing the bet. It impacts relationships, burdens the healthcare systems, contributes to job loss, legal issues, and creates long-term financial hardship. So let's take a look at the scope of the issue. Gambling is incredibly common in the United States. 85% of U.S. adults have gambled at least once in their lifetime, with 60% reporting gambling in the last year. While the majority of adults can gamble without problems arising, for some it leads to severe consequences. An estimated 2.5 million adults nationwide meet the criteria for severe problem gambling disorder. In Massachusetts alone, over 83,000 adults are living with problem gambling disorder. Another 390,000 adults in Massachusetts are considered at risk, meaning their gambling behavior may already be impacting their lives or could progress into more serious harm. This impact is becoming more visible, especially as more individuals reach out for help. The Massachusetts Problem Gambling Helpline has seen a 121% increase in total calls. There's also been a 41% increase in calls seeking support or information, and a 96% increase in referrals to outpatient treatment. These numbers tell us more people are struggling and more are starting to look for support, but it also reflects a growing need for accessible, responsive services. Research also reveals that problem gambling leads to severe financial consequences. 23 million Americans are in debt due to gambling. 90% of those with gambling disorders use credit card cash advances to continue, and 3% have debts over $300,000. These financial strains often result in housing loss, family issues, and legal troubles. Beyond the individual, problem gambling carries a massive social price tag. The National Council on Problem Gambling estimates that the annual social cost of gambling-related harm in the U.S. is approximately $14 billion. These costs include healthcare and mental health services, criminal justice involvement, job loss and reduced workplace productivity, bankruptcy, housing instability, and strained public services. Problem gambling is gambling behavior that harms a person's life or the lives of those around them, including family, friends, coworkers, or the community. Understanding what problem gambling is, how it manifests, and its impacts is essential when discussing gambling harm. Problem gambling isn't just about how often someone gambles, it's about the consequences. Harm can range from occasional issues like missing a bill payment after a loss to long-term problems that affect relationships, employment, health, and overall stability. Problem gambling can affect a person in multiple areas of their life, whether it pertains to their physical, behavioral, emotional, or financial well-being. The negative ramifications typically start gradually, but have the power to escalate quickly, especially if gambling becomes a coping mechanism or an escape from other challenges. Even though no substance is ingested, someone living with a gambling disorder experiences similar neurological and psychological effects to someone with a substance use disorder. For individuals with a gambling problem, the brain's reward system becomes hypersensitive to gambling related stimuli. Dopamine, the brain's feel good chemical, is released not just during a win, but even in anticipation of a gambling experience. The sound of a slot machine, the act of placing a bet, or even seeing a sports betting ad can trigger that surge of excitement long before any money is won. Over time, the brain learns to associate gambling with reward, making the urge to gamble more about the process than the outcome. This is incredibly similar to the experience of substance use disorder, where just the sight of a bottle or the smell of smoke can trigger cravings and dopamine release. One of the most powerful elements in gambling is unpredictability. Games are designed to include near misses, like getting 2 out of 3 matching symbols on a slot machine. These outcomes don't offer a reward, but they trick the brain into thinking that it's making progress. The result? Another dopamine spike, reinforcing the desire to keep playing, even in the face of consistent loss. This cycle of anticipation and near wins keeps the brain consistently seeking that next rush. Just like a person in recovery from substance use might feel cravings when exposed to certain places or objects, a person with gambling disorder experiences intense urges when exposed to casino lights, mobile betting apps, ads during sporting events, or even the casual mention of a bet or a game. These external cues activate the brain's reward pathways, creating that powerful drive to re engage with gambling, even when someone's trying to stop. Similar to substance use, the brain builds tolerance to gambling. What once brought excitement or relief eventually requires larger bets, riskier games, or even more time spent gambling to feel that same effect. Over time, it becomes less about winning and more about chasing the emotional rush, creating a cycle that's hard to break without intervention. Understanding gambling harm means recognizing the gambling continuum. This perspective moves away from that all or nothing view, acknowledging that gambling behaviors and risk levels can develop and change over time. The gambling continuum ranges from no gambling, where individuals don't participate in any gambling activities, all the way to gambling disorder, a severe diagnosed condition where compulsive gambling disrupts your relationships, finances, and daily life. In between no gambling and having a disorder, there's a wide range of experiences. Some people gamble occasionally for fun without issues, while others may gamble more often or with greater emotional or financial stakes. This increases their risk of facing consequences like stress, debt, or strained relationships, even if they don't meet that criteria for a gambling disorder. Movement along the gambling continuum isn't always linear. Periods of control and stability can shift to problematic behavior due to life changes, financial stress, or emotional triggers. However, with support and resources, individuals can move towards safer behaviors or stop gambling altogether. To understand why some individuals experience gambling harm while others do not, it's important to look at the bigger picture, considering factors beyond the act of gambling itself. The conceptual framework of harmful gambling helps us do just that. It's a research-based model that identifies the complex and interconnected factors that influence someone's risk for developing gambling-related problems. This framework organizes the contributing factors into 2 main categories. General factors, which include broader psychological, social, biological, and cultural influences, things that affect risk-taking behavior in general, not just gambling. And the other category is gambling specific factors, which are directly related to the gambling environment, like how often someone is exposed to gambling, the types of gambling or games they engage in, and the tools and resources available to help them manage their behavior. The value of this framework is in showing us that gambling harm is rarely caused by a single issue. Instead, it's the result of multiple factors working together. Some rooted in a person's lived experience, while others tied to the structure and accessibility of gambling itself. Problem gambling can affect anyone, regardless of education, background, or income level. However, certain factors can increase a person's risk, making them more vulnerable to gambling harm. A person's environment, medical history, and age can all contribute to their likelihood of developing a gambling disorder. Let's break down some of the populations that are considered at higher risk. Youth, males, people of color, individuals living with a disability, those without a high school diploma, people with low income or who are currently unemployed, those with a history of incarceration, those with a history of substance misuse, and people who work in a casino or have a gambling related job. Research also shows that collegiate student athletes, especially males, are at a higher risk for gambling harm, particularly with sports betting. Competitive pressure, performance demands, and exposure to betting media contribute to that risk, making college campuses more vulnerable to gambling related issues. Young people are at high risk for problem gambling due to their developing brains, which affect impulse control and decision making. They're also more influenced by peer pressure, advertising, and gaming. The earlier someone starts gambling, the more likely they are to develop a gambling problem later in life. Problem gambling isn't just about placing bets. It affects all areas of life. Key warning signs can appear in physical, behavioral, emotional, and financial ways. Recognizing these signs early can help someone get the support that they need. Problem gambling can take a real toll on the body and basic well-being. Look for signs such as disruption in sleep or eating patterns, neglect of personal hygiene or appearance, escalating gambling behavior, where the individuals feel they must place larger and riskier wagers to feel that same thrill or rush. These symptoms often mirror those in other behavioral or substance use disorders. Behavioral changes are often the most visible and concerning. These may include withdrawing from loved ones, hobbies, or social events, using unhealthy coping skills to manage gambling-related stress, hiding financial information, spending increasing time gambling, repeatedly attempting and failing to cut back or stop, obsessive thoughts about gambling, including reliving wins or planning your next bet, and lying or deceiving others about gambling's impact. Emotional red flags can sometimes be harder to spot, but they're just as important. These can include individuals using gambling to escape negative feelings, irritability when trying to stop, guilt or frustration about their gambling behaviors, and signs of hopelessness, depression, or suicidal thoughts, especially when consequences can become overwhelming. These emotional shifts are often tied to the highs and lows of gambling and can deepen over time if left unaddressed. Gambling harm is often most visible in a person's finances. Look out for signs such as chasing losses, continuing to gamble in an attempt to win back money that they've already lost, missing household items, valuables, or unexplained cash shortages, frequently low on money even if they have a steady income, borrowing money often, or asking for multiple loans at once, depending on others to cover basic needs like rent, food, or bills, unpaid bills, disconnection notices, or lack of food or essential supplies in the home. These financial signs are often the tip of the iceberg, signaling deeper gambling-related challenges beneath the surface. Gambling harm often co-occurs with other mental health issues. About 90% of individuals with a gambling disorder also have another mental health diagnosis, and nearly 30% have three or more. Those with gambling disorders are 2.5 times more likely to develop mood, anxiety, or substance use disorders. These conditions interact and amplify each other, creating a cycle that's difficult to break without professional help. The overlap between gambling and substance use is also incredibly common. Among individuals diagnosed with gambling disorder, 73.2% also meet the criteria for alcohol use disorder. 38.1% have another substance use disorder, and 60.4% experience nicotine dependence. One of the most alarming statistics is that 1 in 5 individuals with a gambling disorder have attempted or completed suicide, a rate higher than any other addiction. The combination of financial loss, shame, isolation, and untreated mental health conditions can become overwhelming. Gambling disorder requires a holistic approach in clinical and community settings. Screening for mental health and substance use, along with integrated, trauma-informed, and compassionate care, is essential. We now know from research that the adolescent brain does not fully develop until around age 25, especially the parts of the brain responsible for impulse control, decision making, and risk evaluation. That's why it's so crucial to delay the onset of gambling behaviors during adolescence and early childhood. Many youth are exposed to gambling early, often in ways that seem harmless, like betting on Super Bowl squares, scratch tickets, raffles, fantasy sports, or gaming like apps. These behaviors are often seen as normal, but they can set the stage for riskier gambling in the future. In many communities, gambling is deeply ingrained in social life and passed down through generations, often seen as entertainment. Cultural traditions, like mahjong and many Asian cultures, blend casual gaming with social activities, making it harder for youth to recognize real risks involved. What's concerning is the mismatch between the risk of gambling and how seriously it's taken. Research shows youth typically start gambling younger than using substances. Most teens believe gambling is less harmful than substance use, and this view extends to caregivers and educators, who often rank gambling as less serious than any other risky behavior. The lack of awareness makes it difficult to recognize early signs of problem gambling. To reduce harm, we must educate families, caregivers, and educators, challenge the normalization of gambling, and teach youth about its risks before they start. Delaying gambling, like delaying substance use, is a key protective factor.
And now we'll look at the legal landscape of gambling. To understand the evolution of gambling in Massachusetts, we look at key legislative milestones. In 2011, the Expanded Gaming Act legalized up to 3 resort-style casinos and only one slots casino. It also created the Public Health Trust Fund to support problem gambling research, prevention, education, and treatment, acknowledging the increased risk with expanded access. In 2022, Massachusetts took another step with the legalization of both retail and online sports betting. This allowed sports betting at casinos and via mobile apps, making it more accessible 24/7. These changes reflect a rapid expansion of legal gambling in Massachusetts, mirroring national trends, but also emphasizing the need for balancing revenue generation with public health responsibility. The legal landscape of gambling in Massachusetts is shaped by various rules depending on the type of gambling. To gamble in casinos or participate in sports betting, individuals must be 21 or older. However, those 18 and older can buy lottery tickets or engage in pari-mutuel wagering, commonly used in horse or dog racing, where all bets are pooled and payouts depend on the amount wagered. Online sports betting is legal but must be done through licensed apps, and geo-tracking ensures bets are placed within state borders. One key restriction is the ban on betting on in-state college teams unless they're in a tournament, aiming to protect the integrity of local sports and student athletes. Additionally, Massachusetts requires gambling operators to follow truthful advertising laws, ensuring promotions like risk-free bets are clear and transparent. However, there are gaps in consumer protection, as the state meets only 46 of the 82 recommended standards for online player protections. Understanding legal age limits, platform restrictions, and marketing guidelines is key to informing others and advocating for stronger protections. Just because gambling is legal doesn't mean it's always safe, and even within legal spaces, there's still room to improve player protections, especially for those most vulnerable to harm. Online gambling, including activities like casino games, sports betting, poker, and iLotteries, all accessible 24/7 through websites and apps. What makes online gambling especially risky is the platform design and delivery, giving you easy access, which means people can gamble from anywhere, anytime, and encourages more frequent and impulsive behavior. Fast-paced gameplay, which includes quick rounds and instant results, leading to rapid losses. Credit and digital payments make money feel less real, leading to overspending without fully realizing the financial impact. Aggressive marketing, such as continuous ads, promotions, and bonuses, also encourage continuous play and disrupt stopping. Marketing strategies often target women by highlighting convenience, entertainment, and charitable causes. Online gambling's solitary nature, combined with easy access, increases isolation, which is a major risk for mental health struggles and addiction. This convenience and constant availability make online gambling more dangerous by lowering barriers to entry and disguising risk as entertainment. The line between gaming and gambling is increasingly blurred, especially in digital spaces, and this overlap is impacting youth and vulnerable populations. Gaming involves skilled based activities where success is determined by practice and strategy. Some examples of this are Fortnite or Call of Duty. The focus is on improving gameplay, not on chance. Gambling involves risking something of value, like money, for a chance at a reward with the outcome mostly out of your control. Some examples of this are slot machines and sports betting. Gambling like gaming, some videos mimic gambling behaviors, such as simulated casino games where players can actually bet virtual currency. Loot boxes where players spend real money for randomized rewards, which are similar to gambling. Gaming like gambling. Gambling platforms incorporate gaming elements to make gambling more appealing. EGMs, or electronic gaming machines, feature game-like visuals, mini games, and skill challenges that actually create the illusion of control, even though some outcomes are still based on chance. These overlaps introduce risk-based mechanics into both gaming and gambling, normalizing gambling behaviors for youth and making risk-based spending seem less dangerous. They condition players to associate chance-based rewards with excitement and achievement, potentially leading to early exposure to gambling behaviors. Two features in modern video games, loot boxes and skins, are raising concerns in the world of gambling prevention. Loot boxes are virtual items players can earn or buy with real money. The key issue is that the contents are randomized and players don't know what they'll get. This element of chance mirrors gambling, as players spend money hoping for a valuable outcome, especially for younger players who may not fully grasp the implications of their spending or behavior. And they're being promoted to youth. In 2021, YouTuber Mr. Beast, who has over 240 million subscribers as of 2025 and a large following among adolescents, posted a video of himself opening loot boxes valued up to $250,000, totaling $500,000. The video currently has over 271 million views, and this type of content can actually glamorize high stakes spending and gambling like behavior while normalizing risk taking and impulsive financial decisions among impressionable viewers. Skins are cosmetic items that change the appearance of a character or gear. Through some may offer competitive advantages. Some examples could be like better speed or defense. Skins are often earned through in-game achievements, but can also be purchased, sometimes through loot boxes. This makes the system of buying for a chance at a desired skin resemble gambling, as players spend money for the potential of winning rare or valuable items. Both systems encourage repeated spending and introduce the concept of risk and reward at a young age, normalizing gambling-like behavior in a space meant for entertainment. This can be particularly concerning for youth who may not recognize the gambling mechanics at play. Sports betting involves risking money on the outcome of sporting events or specific aspects within a game. With its growing popularity, especially after legalization in various states, there's been a significant shift toward online sports betting due to its convenience, accessibility, and heavy promotion. Mobile apps make placing bets incredibly easy, offering real-time updates, flashy graphics, and constant promotions to keep users engaged. Online platforms have quickly overtaken retail betting in legal states, And this is exactly what the industry aims for, creating seamless integration to keep people coming back. A major shift in recent years is how sports leagues, once opposed to gambling, have now partnered with sportsbooks and daily fantasy sports companies. Today, you'll see betting odds integrated into live broadcasts, official sportsbook sponsorships on teams, and even betting lounges inside of stadiums. This deep integration and active promotion have normalized sports betting, especially among fans who may not have previously considered gambling. As sports betting becomes more widespread, understanding the terminology is key to recognizing the risks involved. Here's a breakdown of common sports betting terms. Money line, also known as a straightforward bet on who will win the game. The favorite just needs to win outright, but putting on the underdog offers a higher payout with greater risk. Point spread, a bet that levels the playing field by giving the favorite a point deficit to overcome. The underdog can lose by a small margin or win outright and still cover the bet. This bet requires more understanding of game dynamics as outcomes can hinge on close scores. Over and under, betting on the combined score of both teams, predicting whether it will be over or under a line set by the sportsbook. This bet is more complex as it requires forecasting team performance, not just the outcome. Parlay, a multi-bet wager where all selected bets must win for the bet to pay out. While they offer big payouts, the risk is high because one loss means losing the entire bet. Prop bets, wagers on specific events within a game, like who will score first or how many yards a quarterback will throw. These bets can lead to impulsive gambling, especially when numerous prop bets are available. Futures, long-term bets on outcomes that won't be decided until the end of a season or tournament. While they offer large payouts, they tie up money for extended periods and often have lower chances of winning. These bets may seem exciting and easy, but formats like parlays and prop bets carry high risk and complex odds, favoring sportsbooks over bettors. As sports betting becomes more normalized, it's critical to look past the hype and recognize the real risks.
Thank you, Kiosha. So now we're going to look at gambling in modern culture and media. Gambling advertisements are no longer just marketing. They're a constant presence in modern media and culture. Social media further amplifies this message with platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube filled with influencer endorsements, big win highlights, and gambling tutorials. These algorithm-driven promotions make gambling feel unavoidable and normalized. The real concern? When something is this deeply embedded in daily life, we stop questioning it. It becomes background noise, accepted without scrutiny. Gambling advertisements are seemingly everywhere. From highway billboards to commercial breaks and social media, consumers are bombarded with marketing suggesting how easy and fun it is to win big, whether it be by betting on sports, spinning a slot, or buying a scratcher. Gambling advertisements are carefully designed to attract new users, shape public perception, and normalize betting, often through celebrity endorsements. Big names like John Cena, David Ortiz, and Rob Gronkowski have all been featured in gambling ads, reinforcing the idea that betting is fun, safe, and socially acceptable, especially among sports fans and younger audiences. One of the most common tactics is the enticing sign-on bonus, such as bet $5, get $200 instantly. While it sounds like an easy win, the real goal is to rapidly expand the user base. These promotions often frame gambling as a quick way to make money or even a solution to financial struggles, making them particularly appealing to those already facing financial stress. Gambling advertisements often portray the activity as a social and emotionally rewarding experience. They show people celebrating together at parties or bars, placing bets and bonding over their wagers. This framing connects gambling to friendship, sports, and even hometown pride, subtly encouraging a sense of belonging. Many ads also feature substance use, like casual drinking, blending the lines between fun and risky behavior. The thrill of gambling is glamorized, with phrases like, make me feel bumps in my chest, suggesting that adrenaline rush is exciting and harmless. However, these ads rarely highlight the losses because for every winner, there's someone else losing, sometimes significantly. DraftKings, for example, leans heavily into local identity, using slogans like DraftKings is our local sportsbook and emphasizing their Boston roots with founded right here in Boston. This creates a sense of community and makes the brand feel familiar, encouraging a sense of loyalty and connection to a local identity. The messaging in these ads aims to stir local pride, making you feel like you're supporting a local business when you gamble. The implication is that your money is being reinvested into the community, even though the actual distribution of those funds is far more complicated. The target audience for these campaigns isn't just seasoned gamblers. It's also aimed at people who maybe have never considered betting before it became legal. They use the legalization as an invitation to try something new, exciting, and now legally accepted, making gambling feel like a safe, legitimate activity to explore. On the surface, promotions may appear as exciting opportunities to win, but they are designed to keep people betting, often on high-risk wagers that benefit the house and not the player. For example, a risk-free bet might sound like a guarantee, but the player still loses their original stake and has to keep betting to get their money back. Sign-on bonuses often come with conditions like keeping part of the winnings, further trapping players into frequent higher stakes betting. Referral bonuses can create a peer-driven gambling culture, normalizing risky behavior and spreading it within close-knit groups like college dorms or sports teams. This encourages social gambling, which can escalate from casual to compulsive, leading to severe financial and personal consequences. One of the most heavily promoted and most profitable options for sportsbooks is the same game parlay. Online sportsbooks like FanDuel maximize profits by promoting high-risk, high-reward bets. These bets have the highest potential payouts, but also the lowest chances of winning, making them a major source of revenue for sportsbooks. In some states, parlay bets account for up to 60% of all wagers placed. Online gambling companies flood the airwaves with ads promising that anyone can win, despite the fact that less than 5% of users ever withdraw a profit. Worse still, 3% of the biggest losers account for 50% of these companies' total revenue. Just like tobacco companies once targeted heavy smokers, and Purdue Pharma aggressively marketed opioids to high prescribing doctors and vulnerable patients, modern sportsbooks are targeting their most vulnerable users, encouraging them to place the riskiest bets possible to maximize profits at the expense of public health. The overwhelming volume of gambling ads has made them nearly impossible to avoid, seamlessly integrating betting into sports culture and making it feel like an essential part of being a fan. The design and targeting of these ads are highly effective in attracting both new and returning bettors, which is especially concerning for individuals struggling with gambling harm or those in recovery. Research shows that repeated exposure to these ads increases the likelihood of engagement, even when people aren't actively paying attention. This can have a significant impact on vulnerable individuals trying to quit or reduce their gambling. However, harm reduction messaging in these ads is often weak or vague. Phrases like "take time to think" may sound responsible, but they provide little concrete advice on how to gamble safely or how to seek help, leaving people without real guidance during critical moments. To reduce harm, we need stronger advertising regulations and clearer harm reduction messaging. Research out of Ontario, Canada reveals alarming statistics about the pervasive nature of gambling marketing. Over one single weekend, 588 gambling messages were seen per NBA and NHL game. 21% of the total broadcast time featured a gambling logo or reference. And then viewers saw an average of 3 gambling ads per minute during live games. Casino and gambling operators don't stop with ads either. To keep people engaged, many offer free drinks, luxurious perks, and VIP treatment to high rollers. Some even allow people to stake major assets like their car title for instant cash, further reinforcing the normalization of risky gambling behavior. So now we're going to look at how to best address problem gambling, as well as some of the support systems that are available statewide. When it comes to screening, over 80% of individuals with problem gambling never seek treatment, and over 70% relapse after seeking help. Screening is crucial to identifying problem gambling, but it differs from assessment, which defines the problem and informs treatment. Screening also aims to identify at-risk individuals, promote early intervention, foster open dialogue, and support self-reflection, ultimately creating opportunities for assistance. Screening should be integrated into routine settings, making it accessible in a variety of spaces. Some key opportunities include during intake and alongside other screening forms in healthcare and mental health settings, periodically throughout treatment, especially during treatment plan reviews, during routine medical checkups where other behavioral health concerns are being assessed for, as well as community-based screening events such as drop-in screenings in clinic lobbies or waiting rooms, tabling at faith-based institutions, libraries, college campuses, and community fairs. And it's important to not stop at asking, do you gamble? If someone answers yes, follow up with a validated screening tool like the brief biosocial gambling screener to gain more insight into their behaviors and risks. So, when is gambling a problem? Many individuals realize that they have a gambling problem when the negative consequences outweigh any perceived benefits. A yes response to any of the following questions suggests potential gambling-related issues and the need for further evaluation. In the past 12 months, have you become restless, irritable, or anxious when trying to stop or cut down on gambling? Have you tried to hide the extent of your gambling from your family or friends? And have you experienced financial trouble due to gambling that required assistance from family, friends, or welfare? But before diving into screening, it's crucial to define gambling clearly and ask neutral, specific questions to normalize the conversation, which may include, how often do you buy lottery tickets? Do you ever play cards for money? Have you ever bet on sports? Do you play slot machines? These questions can help individuals reflect on their gambling behaviors and should be part of routine care, just like inquiries about substance use or mental health. Avoid assumptions about who does and does not gamble, and clarify that these questions are standard practice. This reduces the chances of a client feeling singled out. Some clients may not disclose their gambling behaviors immediately, especially due to shame or uncertainty. Repeating screening periodically as rapport builds can lead to more honest discussions over time. For deeper insight, ask reflective, open-ended questions like, what do you like about gambling? How does it work out for you? These questions encourage self-reflection and can reveal whether gambling is used as a coping mechanism or has become a compulsive behavior. The ultimate goal is not just to gather information, but to create an opportunity for awareness, intervention, and support. Effective screening, should identify at-risk individuals early on, encourage open discussions about gambling, reduce stigma, making it easier to seek help, and help clients reflect on their behaviors and risks. To fully understand a client's gambling behavior, it's important to use a comprehensive assessment approach, combining structured criteria with a broader look at the client's background, environment, and emotional health. The DSM-5 outlines key criteria to diagnosing problem gambling disorders. The key indicators are listed in the left-hand column of this slide. A diagnosis typically requires 4 or more of this criteria to be met within a 12-month period. In addition to the DSM-5 criteria, a biopsychosocial assessment gives you a more complete picture of how gambling is affecting the client's life. Key areas to explore include gambling history. So this may be, when did gambling start and how often does the individual engage in it? Financial status. So looking at spending habits, debt, and gambling-related financial issues. Employment and education. So assessing the impact on job performance or academic outcomes. Legal history, determining if the client has committed illegal acts related to their gambling. Biological factors, so considering the family history of gambling issues. Mental health factors, so exploring whether gambling is used as a coping mechanism for stress or emotional pain. Their relationship and social support, so this requires you to investigate how gambling affects relationships and responsibilities at home, as well as cultural factors, understanding the role gambling plays in the client's cultural background. According to the DSM-5, 2 key symptoms of problem gambling disorder that are particularly important during early assessment are chasing losses and tolerance. These behaviors are significant indicators that a person may face chronic problem gambling issues. and identifying these early signs can guide the intensity and direction of treatment plans. It's also important to understand that assessment isn't just about that first intake session. It should be an ongoing process. Assessment should always come from a culturally informed and affirming lens. Take time to understand the client's culture, community, family traditions, and coping strategies. This also applies to how they view help-seeking, treatment, and recovery. Using tools like the DSM-5 Cultural Formulation Interview Guide can help gather this context in a respectful and structured way. Ask for permission to assess. Rather than launching into screening questions, take a moment to explain things like, I'd like to ask a few questions about gambling because it's something that can impact people's health and finances. Is it okay if we explore that together? This can build trust and frames the assessment as collaborative, not clinical or judgmental. It's important that you bring the resources with you too. Having both clinical and non-clinical tools on hand, whether that be brochures, harm reduction tips, community support referrals, or links to self-exclusion programs. That way, you're ready to respond when someone is curious, cautious, or ready to take their next step. By implementing harm reduction strategies, individuals can build healthier habits, reduce gambling risk, and work toward long-term financial and emotional stability. These strategies focus on practical takeaways to establish safer boundaries and encourage positive change. Reduce time spent on gambling by creating a structured plan to fill time with fulfilling activities, preventing boredom, which can be a common trigger for gambling. Engage in hobbies or activities like exercise, reading, volunteering, or socializing to shift focus away from gambling behaviors. Set limits, like establishing daily limits and session limits to regulate gambling behavior. Use timeout features and reality checks to pause and reassess, helping avoid impulsive or excessive gambling. Control access to gambling platforms or physical locations, which can make it harder to engage in compulsive gambling behavior. These strategies all provide practical steps to reduce harm and support healthier decision-making. And to further reduce gambling behaviors, the following strategies focus on limiting access and managing finances. This can be installing software to block gambling sites and apps, creating a barrier to reduce temptation and limit exposure to gambling platforms, enrolling in self-exclusion programs to prevent access to both physical and online gambling venues, providing a structured way to stop gambling. Having a trusted person monitor your finances, internet usage, or app activity to provide additional oversight and reduce gambling temptation. Creating a detailed budget to track income and expenses, setting limits to avoid using discretionary funds for gambling. For individuals with gambling-related debt, establishing a repayment plan to address financial challenges and reduce stress-driven gambling. You can also use tools like the TrueLink card to restrict access to cash and track spending, ensuring that funds are being used responsibly and not for gambling. All of these approaches help individuals stay accountable and regain control over both their gambling behavior as well as their financial health. An important tool is the Voluntary Self-Exclusion Program. The Voluntary Self-Exclusion Program, also known as VSE, is a vital harm reduction tool for individuals looking to control or stop their gambling. The different types of self-exclusion may include gaming self-exclusion, which prohibits entry into the gaming areas of Massachusetts casinos and participation in casino games. It also may be sports wagering self-exclusion, which prevents the entry into retail sports wagering areas and prohibits placing sports bets with Massachusetts licensed operators, both retail and online. And then there's also dual self-exclusion, which simultaneously excludes individuals from both casino gambling and sports wagering. So how can someone enroll? First, they're going to want to call the 24-hour Safer Gaming Education line at 1-800-426-1234. Individuals can also use the chat feature, which is available through the GameSense website and is available 24/7. Individuals can visit the GameSense info centers available at Plainridge Park Casino, MGM Springfield, or Encore Boston Harbor. Remote enrollment is available via video or email for those unable or uncomfortable with in-person enrollment. Individuals may also schedule an appointment by calling 617-533-9737 or emailing vse@massgaming.gov for remote or in-person appointments. Enrollment forms, petition for removal, and FAQs are available in multiple languages, including Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Arabic, and Portuguese. The voluntary self-exclusion program helps individuals regain control over their gambling habits by reducing exposure to triggers, eliminating rewards points, and removing them from marketing list. The Massachusetts Problem Gambling Helpline can be reached at 1-800-327-5050. This helpline connects callers with specialists who understand the complexities of problem gambling and the treatment systems available in Massachusetts. Assistance is free, confidential, and non-judgmental, providing support to anyone seeking help or information. For support beyond Massachusetts, the National Problem Gambling Helpline is available by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, and this helpline offers call, text, and chat options, providing immediate assistance from trained specialists. GamTalk is an online forum and supportive community where individuals struggling with gambling can connect with others who have had similar experiences and find guidance, non-judgmental support, and encouragement. To access this, visit www.gamtalk.org. The Massachusetts Council on Gaming and Health, also known as MACGH, operates a 24/7 confidential helpline at 1-800-GAM-1234. This helpline provides information and referrals for both self-help resources and professional treatment options. For those who prefer visiting their website, live chat is available at www.macgh.org. And here are some valuable resources for individuals seeking help and clinicians working with those affected by problem gambling issues. The Massachusetts Problem Gambling Helpline Treatment Search Tool is a user-friendly online platform that helps individuals find local treatment options for gambling-related problems. It allows people to search by geographic area for services such as outpatient counseling, financial advising, and peer support. This tool is ideal for referrals, self-help, or browsing available services in your local area. It can be especially helpful for providers and community leaders when directing individuals to appropriate care. This Massachusetts Department of Public Health's practice guidelines for treating gambling-related problems is a comprehensive resource that outlines the latest evidence-based approaches for treating problem gambling disorder, including established methods like cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT, and emerging treatment strategies. This is a great tool for clinicians to stay current on research and enhance their practice in treating problem gambling-related issues. On this slide, you'll see some valuable tools for clinicians supporting individuals affected by problem gambling. These resources are evidence-based and practical, designed to be easily incorporated into existing treatment plans, especially within substance use or mental health services. The first being the Brief Advice Handout, which is a one-page handout based on Dr. Nancy Petrie's work. This can be quickly implemented in about 10 to 15 minutes during intake or early sessions. This intervention has been shown to reduce gambling behaviors, especially when incorporated into substance use disorder treatment. The second are motivational letters, which are personalized letters intended for clients scheduled for their first session to address gambling-related issues. These letters set a supportive tone and help build motivation for clients to engage in treatment. The Motivational Interviewing, also known as MI, Guidebook for Gambling Counseling, which was written by Letty Tumbaga, Lucas Ryan, and Elisa McCaw, provides an in-depth understanding of motivational interviewing, which is a counseling technique used to explore and resolve ambivalence. It helps clinicians at all experience levels to effectively apply motivational interviewing techniques within gambling counseling settings. And finally, cognitive behavioral therapy resources provided through the Gambling, Gaming, and Technology Use Program offer CBT tools and resources with a specialized focus on gambling-related issues. This program helps clients identify and address cognitive distortions often seen in gambling behavior. Clinicians can access video references and step-by-step guidance on how to apply CBT principles in gambling treatment. On this slide, we have included some self-help resources, the first being the Your First Step to Change Self-Assessment Workbook. This is a great free resource for anyone who is starting to evaluate their relationship with gambling, identify gambling problems, and develop strategies for recovery. This workbook is available for free in 4 languages, making it accessible to a diverse community. It's an excellent starting point for self-reflection and can also be used in conjunction with professional support. Gamblers Anonymous is a self-help recovery support community that follows the same 12-step model as Alcoholics Anonymous. It provides a space for people to connect with others who are also working through their recovery from gambling. And meetings are held regularly and offer peer support, accountability, and encouragement, all in a non-judgmental environment. The Let's Talk Risk Toolkit is designed to help parents and youth have meaningful conversations about gambling and risk-taking behaviors. It includes tips, activities, and conversation starters that families can use to open the door to these important discussions. This resource is available through the Massachusetts Clearinghouse. It's a great tool for prevention and education, especially for caregivers looking to address the topic early and effectively. And finally, Smart Recovery provides tools and support that individuals can use to help them recover from addictive gambling behaviors, as well as other negative and unwanted behaviors. They offer accessible ways to get informed, get started, and stay supported, whether someone is just beginning their journey or looking to stay on track. On this slide, our team has included some media highlights, the first being Pause and Reset, which is written by Dr. Nancy Petrie, one of the leading researchers in behavioral addictions. This book serves as a practical guide for individuals looking to change unhealthy habits, including gambling. The book offers step-by-step strategies, worksheets, and motivational tips to help readers take control of their behaviors. It's a great tool for both individuals in recovery, caregivers, and clinicians looking for approachable techniques grounded in evidence. The Girl Gambler, written by Stacy Goodwin, is a candid memoir about her descent into gambling addiction, revealing how online slots overtook her once ambitious life. Through her story, Goodwin explores the emotional toll of addiction, the societal glamorization of gambling, and the hope that is found in recovery. Addiction by Design explores how gambling machines are intentionally designed to encourage compulsive play. The book dives into the intersection of technology, behavior, and addiction, shedding light on the science and strategy behind slots machines and other electronic gambling devices. These books each offer a unique perspective, whether it be clinical strategies and personal recovery to the behind-the-scenes mechanics of gambling technology. Whether you're seeking to support someone in recovery, expand your professional knowledge, or just better understand the broader landscape of gambling harm, these pieces are excellent additions to your resource library. So now we'd like to open the floor for any questions or comments, and we always encourage you to share your thoughts, experiences, or ask about specific topics that we've covered today. If we don't get to your question, please feel free to reach out to us via email. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope this session provided valuable insights into the challenges that come with problem gambling and the path towards recovery and support. We look forward to staying connected and continuing this important work together.